Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, we talk about all things fandom and we talk about them in a positive way. If that's something that appeals to you, you've come to the right place. We are so happy to have you here. And today we have to talk about the new Buffy the Vampire Slayer series that's potentially coming out because there has been a character breakdown that has been released, and I think it sounds really interesting. So let's jump right into it. So we have to talk a little bit about this Buffy the Vampire Slayer reboot slash sequel series and some of the latest rumors that have come out, because Daniel RPK is reporting on the new Scooby game, what to expect from these characters, kind of the who's who of the new Scooby game. Now, the casting hasn't been confirmed or anything, and even though he is right about some things, Daniel RPK has been wrong, or things could actually change, thus making it seem like he was wrong. So you still have to take it with a grain of salt, because this is still kind of in that we haven't had it officially confirmed by anyone, but it is sort of running all over the internet, and the main source, as far as I've been able to tell from everywhere I've looked, is Daniel RPK is talking about this. So we're going to assume that he is the one who sort of did find out this information. We know that Buffy is going to be a part of this series, and she's going to be sort of a mentor to this new vampire slayer. And originally, I would have liked to have seen it be Buffy's daughter, sure, but I can actually get behind this concept of her training someone completely new. The big thing for me, at least, is wanting to stray away from the ending of the last Buffy the Vampire Slayer series, because I felt like the multiple Slayer thing just didn't really work out for them. Every girl is a Slayer was a good concept, but it just doesn't fit that Buffy the Vampire Slayer narrative that we were used to in the beginning. So I think that what we're going to see happen here is maybe they revert back to it being only one Slayer born into every generation. And I don't know how they do that, but I hope they explain it really good and we get something special here. And the girl that she's supposed to be helping to mentor is this girl named Nova. And Nova is described as a high school student, and my guess is very much like Buffy the Vampire Slayer. She won't really want to be a part of that world and then slowly just sort of fall into it, and then Buffy ends up mentoring her. The next character is Abe, who is Nova's father, and he's supposed to be a dedicated photojournalist in his 40s to 60s, and he's described as a lead. Now, this sounds like Buffy's mom, so they just kind of reversed that whole thing with Buffy's mom being basically Nova's dad. But I like this casting because then it could, if Buffy is sort of mentoring this girl, maybe that is a romantic interest for Buffy, kind of making her sort of still that main character, if you will, just kind of bringing in this guy to be her new romance. Might be pretty cool. It can make for a lot of drama, as well as them having to rescue him or keep secrets from him. It could be really cool. Then you have Mr. Burke, and Mr. Burke is described as a librarian who later becomes a vampire, and he's supposed to be in his 30s to 60s, and he is also a lead. Now, this guy is supposed to be a librarian, and that's all we know. And I see a lot of people are running with the narrative that this is the new Giles, and Giles quickly becomes a vampire, thus making him irrelevant or making him a permanent vampire and a good guy. I don't know if I want that for a narrative, to have the vampire librarian in the school. I think that it would be better if that's the part that Buffy has to take over after he kind of becomes a vampire. I would like to see this guy kind of be a main enemy, kind of that master type from the original series. Think about it. Someone that she trusts then turns out to be this vampire that she has to fight. It might be pretty cool to do it that way. Plus, it sort of takes what we expect and flips it on its head. And I always think that that makes for a good sequel or reboot if you take things and just sort of flip them on the head. But it only works if you are going directly from the story that you originally told. Because if you're rebooting it and you're going with the same details, if this was Buffy all over again, there's no way that I would want that to be the narrative. But since Buffy is sort of the mentor of this girl and it takes place after the Buffy series ends, and years after, in fact, I can kind of see this working. Next up, you have Cole, the alpha of the group, and he's sort of that confident, natural leader, and he's also a lead. And I'm assuming he is a high school student as well. This is kind of the new Scooby game, so he's probably kind of a popular kid that just sort of finds his way into the Scooby gang. Maybe a male version of Cordelia or something. I could see that happening. Then you have Hugo. And Hugo is a nerd from a wealthy family who has a thing for Nova but is awkward about it. And this is also a lead. And I like this because it sort of flips the Willow thing on its head. This sort of sounds to me like they're Willow. However, it's a guy who happens to have a crush on Nova. So it makes it as though they're kind of combining Xander from the first season, because when Xander first meets Buffy, he really does try to hit on her a lot. And then, you know, you have that awkwardness that was so adorable in Willow. And I would really like to see, you know, someone that can present that same awkwardness. And I think a character who is in love with her that just is really awkward about it might prove to be really adorable. Next up, you have Gracie, who is Nova's best friend and fascinated by myths, and is also a huge Buffy fangirl. Now, this is also a lead, and this tells us one thing. This tells us that Buffy the Vampire Slayer is very much someone that everybody knows in this series. Buffy's a legend by this point. So whatever she has done, whether she's a legend all the way around the world or just in Sunnydale or anything like that, all that is going to really sort of stand out here. Just knowing that in the age of social media and everything, she can't get away with doing the things that she did. So this could present a problem for our new Slayer. Keep it under the radar, because later on, Buffy was sort of all over the place, and they can't risk that when they're fighting vampires. I could see that working really well. And then this girl sort of being that expert on all things Buffy might make her a really cool and useful person to have around. And then last you have Mia. And Mia is described as a social media obsessed student who gets caught up in the supernatural stuff that's going on. She's described as a supporting cast member. Now, this kind of reminds me of their Cordelia a lot more. Like, maybe this is supposed to be that character that's really popular, probably not very friendly to this group. I could see that working out really well, but that worries me a bit. Out of all the characters, that's the one that worries me a little bit, because I hope they don't rinse and repeat the, oh, I'm a popular bully thing that happened in the original series, and then I'm gonna kind of end up joining you guys because it's cool. I don't want them to do that, so I really hope they don't. But this series so far, at least, is shaping up to look pretty cool, and I think that these characters sound like they're gonna be intriguing. I really want to see this librarian be the enemy of the group and not a friend. I don't want them to have that, oh, I'm your cool vampire friend type of thing, because it would be very much too too much angel for me, you know, it would sort of give me that vibes, and I really don't want it to be that. However, again, if they make this cool, if they give us that character and it works for some reason, then I'm all for it, because you have to go into everything with an open mind, and I'm willing to do that. But I think that these characters do look very cool. I think that this show sounds awesome so far. I wouldn't have done it this way. I, again, like I said, would have made Buffy have a daughter that continues on, but I do hope that they do away with that ending to Buffy the Vampire Slayer, where they take it back to that one girl in every generation, because that always really worked. But I'm going to leave it off to you guys now. I want to know what you guys think about this. Are you excited about this potential lineup of Scooby members? Do you think that it's going to be great? Are there any that stand out that you think would be really awesome? Or is there some that just worry you, like you don't think that character would work very well at all? And then also, what are you thinking their counterparts from the original series are? Or do you see this as a potential project that would take these characters and make them something completely different? Because there's always going to be comparisons, but do you think this could be drastically different from the original Buffy the Vampire Slayer group? Whatever you think, I definitely want to hear from you. As always, we want to hear from you guys. Make sure you are leaving us that comment in the comment box below, letting us know what you think. Don't forget to share this video with all of your friends. They're going to want to be a part of this crazy conversation. Then make sure you're hitting that like button, friends, because it's free. It helps the channel, and we really appreciate it. Then, Miko says we need more subscribers, and look at this face. You don't want to disappoint Miko. So go ahead and hit that subscribe button and hit that notification bell while you're down there so you don't miss a single video we do. Then friends, at the end of the day, I know it, you know it, and Miko knows it. Fandom is family.